Welcome everyone. Today is Thursday, the 30th of November, 2023, and this is the SIG Cloud Provider Extraction Migration subproject meeting. We follow the CNCF's Code of Conduct, which basically means please treat everybody as you expect to be treated, and please raise your hand. Although it's just the two of us, so I'm not going to hold you to that, Andrew. Okay, we had just a couple items on the agenda today. The blog post is looking good. Like, I think I've addressed all the comments, just waiting for them to merge it now, pretty much.
Yeah, I agree. It looks great. Thanks for putting that together. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thanks for the help. Yeah, I couldn't have got there on my own. So yeah, I'm happy to kind of jump in there.
Yeah. So I think that plus so I think maybe do you know if the release notes are out? Like there was like that PR. Okay, I'll follow up later. But like it might be good to. Oh, hey Walter. Actually,
Hey, well,
since Walter's here, maybe we can share the blog with Walter. So hey, Walter, we were just talking about a blog post that Michael put together, just talking about the the feature gates going beta that disable the cloud providers, and just kind of providing some background on that. So if you're interested in like reviewing that, feel free to do that. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so like the release notes that say like
yeah, that's this. I think that's this one, the release blog, right? Is this the one you're talking about?
yeah.
Okay.
I'm wondering if that one should also just have a reference to the cloud provider repositories. Yeah.
Let me find. Yeah, where's our section? I thought we were really close to the top on this. Let me search. Okay. So what you're saying is like, should we add a list of cloud providers in here basically so people know where to find them?
Yeah, basically a copy of your like where it says like where to how you have a section in your blog called where to find a cloud controller manager. Maybe just like copy that into the release note section.
Yeah, I can certainly. I don't have a problem proposing that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I like that plan.
It would be even better if like every cloud provider had a specific like a docs section specifically for migrating to cloud controller managers, but like that's like out of my control, so not gonna propose that.
I remember pushing for that a couple of years ago, and we never got very far.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think just like link to the repo and hope for the best. And
that I tried to do the due diligence and see like are there actual like docs pages for each one of those projects, but yeah, in the end I figured just linking to the repo was probably the best because the ones that do have it, they usually link it right at the top of their readme.
yeah.
Okay, I'll add that today.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, I think it sounds like they're going to publish the blog on December 8th, to coincide with the release and everything. So I think we're all good there. Any extra reviews are awesome, and I'll keep monitoring it. So if Walter, if you check it out and you want some changes, just drop a comment, and I'll get right on them.
So when does the review need to happen by? Do you know?
I mean, I think they're holding it until the release of Kubernetes 1.29. So nothing will happen before the 1.29 release. But if we go back and look, I mean, I don't know what their policy is here, if they merge it like on the day of the release or how they do it. But they kind of put a hold here, not to merge until 1.29 is released. So we have at least until then, I guess.
That's fair. The other thing, and I'm not sure if we want to really get involved because it's starting to get more opinionated than maybe we should be. But when it comes to deploying on various cloud providers from open source, I'm wondering if it might be worth mentioning KOps. Because the one thing I'm fairly sure is that KOps actually has CCM for at least, I think it's AWS, GCE, OpenStack, and Azure.
I mean, that's certainly, we certainly could advise that as part of like the what should you do if you want to, I went to the level of just trying to describe like what feature gates you would want to change if you wanted to change it, and like what you would want to do otherwise, and then link out to the, just really the low level changes. I think this is more of like a step up from that, but I'd be happy to include it if you think it fits.
I mean, my thought is I love what you've done. I'm just not sure that everyone wants that, and kind of
Right.
being able to say, look, this is how you can build it yourself, or you can always use KOps, which is should be an already working version of this.
Right. So what we're talking about here, wait, let me see if I can see if this works. Okay, so what we're talking about though is like kind of in the what do you need to do section, we could add something in one of these parts about kind of if you're using KOps or something, maybe
I mean,
at the bottom.
far as I know, is if KOps has already done all of the CCM integration type things, so that should already work. My hope would be that would already work, and I believe it does.
Okay, so this what do you need to do section covers the low level details. What if I
Yep.
add an extra section at the bottom of this that is kind of like full integrated solution? If you're looking for that, we
Yeah,
recommend.
I mean, I think it's an alternate. Yeah, I mean, I think in the where to find a CCM, I don't know, actually. Yeah, I mean, I think actually I would put it in cloud provider integrations by the Kubernetes project, and then, you can also then, or, you can, KOps already done all of this kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I can try and add something there, and then what I'll do is I'll put the changes up that we're talking about here, and then what I'll do is I'll ping you on the review once I've got it up, Walter, if you want to just take a double check or something.
Yeah, and I don't think that's too bad because I mean, as far as I can tell, you know, KOps is still within Kubernetes, right? It's still part of the. I mean, it's cops.kates.io, so it seems like it's still.
I thought so, yeah. Like I thought Cluster API was still using it at some level too. Oh, is it under just? I mean,
Yeah,
still in the
yeah.
kube
So it's
main org.
yeah, it's still main org, so it is still perfectly within our.
Yeah, it's getting updates like 2 weeks ago. It looks like so. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll add a note about this, and then like I said, I'll just ping you, and if it looks cool, like great. Like hopefully that'll be good.
Yep.
Okay. What else do we want to talk about? Should we cancel the meeting on the 28th? Like I'm not going to be here, so.
Yeah, I think canceling the 28th makes sense.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay. All right. Any other topics that you guys want to talk about?
Yeah, we should just quickly note maybe we should discuss this in the SIG meeting. I don't think it matters, but I think there was an email about the maintainer track sessions. So can we just note the deadline for that submission, like real quick? Trying to find it.
Yeah, let me see. I just got that email. I gotta unbury my email client here. Let's see. What does it say? Oh, they really buried the lead in here. I don't see it. I would expect that to be like right at the top. Like you got until now to do it. Let's see what this says. Looks like December 31st. So we're gonna have to figure something out.
Seriously, is that the date?
That's what it says. Call closes
Oh,
on 31
wow.
December.
And then they put the KubeCon, like the CFP, like on Thanksgiving weekend. I'm just like,
it's a bold move, Cotton.
Prove your commitment.
yeah, you know, I was actually betting that, like, I didn't submit anything because I was like, they're definitely gonna extend the deadline. There's no way they're just gonna like put it on the Thanksgiving weekend and like call it, but they did.
So this is definitely something we should talk about at the next general SIG meeting, which I think is next week, if I'm not mistaken.
Do we have a, okay. I okay. I have like one topic item that I can throw in there that could work.
Cool.
But yeah, you're right. Like, yeah, let's talk about it in the.
I mean, one interesting thing that we're going to have to there is a bit of an elephant in the room that I think we're eventually going to have to deal with, and I'm not sure if this is too soon, but this SIG grew out of the cloud provider extraction working group. And at some point, we will have extracted cloud provider. And while I don't think that means that everything we're doing is done, I think it does mean that we should really start paying a little more attention to what is our, what is our agenda, our goal, our purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, are we just the maintainers of CCM and a couple of other odds and ends? Are we meant to help the various cloud providers and gate, how other things, how we add functionality in a way that isn't preferential to a single cloud provider? But at some level, we need to think about some of those things.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. I mean, I think when we finally get this to GA and we've kind of cut all the code that we can, I think we should take a long break, and then we should consider, or like I know over the years there's been lots of feature requests. Like one example that comes up is supporting like multiple CCMs in the same cluster and things like that. So I firmly believe that there is a large enough backlog of new features and ideas that we can start entertaining now that our focus can shift from like like improving the extension as opposed to just like trying to remove the current.
Plus one to that. I know that multiple CCMs in one cluster is something that like Red Hat has been interested in, especially as we're starting to do things like deploy like hybrid clusters and whatnot, and exploring like, how do we split a cluster across two different cloud providers or something like that. So I think that's a great call out, Andrew.
Yeah.
I was about to ask if that was what your use case was, but apparently so. All right. Yeah.
But yeah, that's just like one example. Like I know, I'm sure there's like tons more out there.
Well, I know that the API machinery came to me recently asking about the multi-level locking system that we use for KCM to CCM migration. And I mean, I suggested it's a great bit of functionality, but I'm not sure it was implemented as well as it could have been. So I definitely think there are some places like that we can do cleanup.
Yeah.
There are also, there are things that for timing reasons we did on webhooks, but longer term, I would love to see if we can start doing things more via Cell. I mean, I don't think Cell really supports call outs, but yeah.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, I mean these all sound really good to me. Although, like, I would hope that we can cancel this Thursday meeting once we reach the extraction point.
I think I'm actually cool to cancel this meeting like starting in the new year, assuming that nothing terribly goes wrong with the 129 release. Like assuming like 129, we're keeping it beta, like we're not reverting that. I think we can cancel this because what's left is really um, going GA and removing the code. We can kind of cover that in the regular SIG meeting. I think we've done like most of the hard work, which was getting like all the CI updated and getting like the providers ready and all that.
Yeah,
Well, and I
I
mean,
tend to agree with you. Sorry,
I will say there are a couple of action items I'm going to suggest that may be a little time sensitive that we should do as part of this. And I'm sorry, I'm taking off my TL hat and I'm putting on my manager hat. But
It's the same
there
hat,
are,
your TLM.
I'm not allowed to be a TLM anymore. They made me an EM. I'm so sad. Anyway, we know there are benefits, and a few of them I think are measurable benefits. So if we look at something like lines of code and binary size, I think it would be really interesting to measure those before and after not just the deletion of the code, but the deletion of all of our dependencies, which I think is going to be key to making sure this is really the win we want. And then we should think about putting out an actual, some sort of blog or other, statement of, I mean, we should declare the win. I'm just going to put it rather than trying to sugarcoat it. We should declare the win. We should make sure that we do call outs to people like Dims and some of the other people and Ben the Elder and some of the other people who've been key to helping us get this to happen. But I think we should really declare the win.
Yep, I totally agree.
I agree as well. Although I think that if it's for the official Kubernetes blog, like I think we should work with the content strategist to figure out the best way to write that. Because I feel like some of the pushback that I got while writing this current one was like, it was like, well, users want to know what's changing and how do they fix it. They're less interested in some of this kind of backstory type information. And maybe that was just because of this post is about, this migration to beta status. But yeah, I just think it'd be cool to work with the content strategists on that.
I think we should. I'll make two observations on that. So I think when we're working with the content strategists, there were a couple of measurements I mentioned, and I think the measurement, I think one, for them, lead with the size of we know that we'll probably have the size of the API server, the KCM, and the kubelet at least. I wouldn't be surprised if we get an 80% size reduction, which is huge. And in fact, not only is it huge, but I think it opens up. I mean, there are already things we know that are happening in Kubernetes, like some of the edge control. And I think edge control gets a lot easier when you start doing things like reducing the size of the kubelet. So I think it opens up wonderful opportunities. And I think there are places there where some of those folks will care and it'll be valuable. But the other thing that I will mention on this is we may want to find another outlet. I'm not saying not do what you're suggesting, but we may want to find an additional outlet. I think it would be great to push something more to the internal development of Kubernetes. Like, I don't see any reason we can't celebrate as a community. Like great for our users and all that, but maybe it's time we did some internal celebrating across the community.
Yeah. It could be like a contributor summit talk / celebration, maybe something like that. Yeah. I mean, so like on the topic of like savings and impact, like I think if we can specifically measure cost savings for test infrastructure from all the like the download bandwidth of binaries and stuff like that. Like, and we could put a little cost value to it. I think that could be something worth kind of
Ooh.
writing about.
Yeah. I'm
But-
not sure how we assign a dollar value, but I love the idea.
I mean, can we get a cut of that into our earnings? That'd be great.
Are you planning on retiring, Andrew? If so, I want to join you.
Yeah, I'm planning on retiring. What are you talking about?
Well, I'm thinking this might be how he's planning on funding the retirement. 1% of the savings come to.
I like it. I like it.
But to the original point, I don't necessarily think we need the separate subproject meeting to. I think we can cover those in the main SIG meeting, in my opinion. Like,
Yeah, I tend to agree. Yeah.
Yeah, like the importance of this meeting for 129 and 128 was because we needed just like faster iteration on like all the CI changes, because that was kind of like stalling a lot and blocking the beta status. And so with all the CI changes in and like the feature in beta now, like I don't think things are as time sensitive. Like we can kind of work on these as
Yep.
we get closer to J.
I agree.
Yeah. I think it'd be really nice to bring this discussion back to the main meeting next week because like I absolutely agree with what you're saying, Andrew. And I think like all the stuff that we're talking about in here, all this like extra stuff we could do and all this stuff, I think those will have wide interest in the community as well. So like having it in the place where everyone's coming would just be great.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
All right, cool.
All right.
Great discussion. We only got 5 more minutes here. Are we good on this? You guys have some more ideas you want to toss out there?
No, I'm good.
I'm good.
Walter, I love this idea about doing some sort of introspective analysis too on like the code and binary. I didn't even think about that, but I think that's a really awesome way to look at it too. All right, cool. Well,
we could also talk to the release team and see if we it'd be also interesting to see if we cut down on kind of to Andrew's money time, whatever.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see if we cut down build time.
That would be interesting too. There's a lot of fallout from this that people could get into just to kind of like study all this stuff.
Yep.
All right, cool. Let's bring it back to the main meeting next week and we'll talk about it there. Thanks for the great discussion, guys.
Thank you both.
All right, cool. Later.
Later.